Greetings to all, welcome back. We are on the last lecture, that is fifth lecture of second week, that is developing digital marketing strategy, and today we will be summarizing what we have discussed in the whole week, and we are going to concluding our this week's lecture with this lecture on the topic strategy implementation and control for digital marketing. So, if you remember, we have discussed the 5-step process where we have discussed about setting strategy and goals, then we talked about strategy formulation, and then we talked about the process and all, and after formulation of the strategy we have to implement it and we have to monitor and control it. So, controlling function basically it includes monitoring as well. So, today we will be discussing about the strategy implementation and controlling for digital marketing. So, let us move. So far what we have discussed, so in this course and in this particular week of developing digital marketing strategy, we have discussed so far. If you remember, in the lecture 1 we have discussed about consumer journey. We talked about two different type of journeys, that is decision journey and value journey. Also we talked about the various different models and it corroborate to this consumer journey itself. So, we have IDA model, if you remember, awareness, interest, desire and then activity, right. So, we have IDA model, we have McKinsey's loyalty loop. So, if you remember, so we had something like this, we had a, so it started from here and then there is a purchase and then again it goes to like this. So, this is loyalty loop, if you remember, and then infinity loop which was like this, right. So, which talked about the consumer engagement and consumer development and so on. So, we have discussed these all things in lecture 1. In lecture 2 we have, if you remember, we have discussed about various digital marketing frameworks which are prominent, which are popular in the domain of digital marketing, where we talked about the extended marketing mix, where we talked about 8 P's: product, price, promotion, place, and 4 more have been added. So, it is people, process, physical evidence and performance, right. So, 8 P's, the 8 I would say extended marketing mix P's, right. And then we also talked about the STP marketing model, which talks about segmentation, targeting and positioning. And then Pirate model, we have discussed this model also, and also the ASCORE marketing framework. So, assessment phase, strategy phase, content, communication, then optimize and then review. So, these were marketing frameworks we discussed, different marketing frameworks we discussed in lecture number 2. Also, we have discussed the digital marketing assessment in our third lecture, if you remember. So, in lecture number 3 we talked about digital marketing assessment, where we specifically discussed two core things. One is digital, how to set the goal and objectives for digital marketing, and how to do the situation analysis. So, in situation analysis we have used various frameworks which are suitable, which helps us in situation analysis, which are the 7S framework, if you remember McKinsey's 7S framework. Then there was SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities and threat, and then Porter's 5 force model and pestle analysis. So, Porter's 5 force model, it was for micro environment, and SWOT analysis is both for internal as well as external environment, and 7S framework is specifically is for internal capabilities, and pestle model is for macro environment analysis. So, P stands for political, economical, social, technological, environmental and legal. So, pestle analysis was the macro environment analysis. In lecture number 4, previous lecture, we discussed about how the strategy is being formulated for digital marketing. We focused on strategy formulation. We specifically talk about the 8 steps to formulate digital marketing step. We also talked about ANSOF matrix, which talks about market development and product development. Also, we have discussed on READ and RACE planning framework and Porter's generic competitive strategies. So, all these we have discussed, and we have discussed how these basically these frameworks or these matrices could help us in formulating the strategy for our digital marketing or for our digital marketing strategy. So, these matrices or these frameworks help in formulation of the strategy. So, once we have formulated the strategy, the next obvious thing is to implement it. So, after this we move for implementation. So, once we implement it, so we see management or say marketing tactics is not only about implementing. So, you have devised the strategy, you have chosen the best strategy, you have implemented it. So, once you have implemented it, if you forget it, then you are not going to get the best out of it. So, only unless and until you keep on monitoring. So, you keep on monitoring and also controlling. So, controlling and monitoring is very important. Rather, controlling is a function where we talk about monitoring, right. So, implementation is fine once we have implemented, but if we are not actually controlling, we are not actually keeping a track of what we have done, it is of no use, because there are many information which we can actually collect from here, and again we will it will be help in our planning phase, right. So, again it is going to help in our planning phase. So, that is why controlling is again very important. So, in this lecture we would be talking about the implementation and the controlling of the strategy. So, first is strategy implementation. So, as the name itself suggests, so this is the last step of digital marketing process, which is resource allocation, monitoring and control, and it is to be collectively discussed in this particular lecture. We will discuss in the form of digital marketing or strategy implementation and strategy control. So, basically resource allocation and implementation comes in strategy implementation, monitoring and control we will be discussing in control topic, right. So, once the company has done with its goals and objective setting, situation analysis and the formulation of digital marketing strategy, obviously the last and crucial stage involves developing the implementation strategy. How effectively you are going to implement. When we in formulation step, when we formulate the strategy, so basically we are formulating many strategies, right. So, there are various options. Now, we have to analyze all these options and we have to choose the best option. So, for example, this is the best option. So, we are going to implement this. So, that is basically called implementation strategy. How you are going to choose the best out of it and you are going to implement it. So, that is what we are going to discuss. So, there are many frameworks, there are many models which helps in choosing the best strategies out of the set of many alternatives, right. So, at implementation stage, a company should strategize many things, and this is not an exhaustive list. So, it should ensure that how optimally you have the digital presence, because digital marketing is all about online presence. So, if you are having a good presence and reach in the digital landscape, then you are the king, right. So, it is very important that you should have you should ensure optimal digital presence. And there is a very good matrix of digital presence also, where we talk about digital laggard, digital leader and so on. Also, implementation stage, we have to design the digital marketing campaign. So, there could be different strategies and we could develop a mix of different strategies, and we can actually it is not always necessary that we have to choose only one, rather we can have blend of 2 or 3 strategies. We can develop the mix of different strategies and we can actually develop the campaign. So, digital campaign planning has to be done in implementation stage. Also, we have to plan for multi-channel or omni-channel campaign setup, how effectively we are going to use these channels and how effectively we are going to set campaign for using these different channels. Also, we need to develop the interactive marketing communication, how we are going to choose the marketing options, marketing communication options, which ensures customer engagement, which ensures interactive engagement with the customers or audience, and how effectively we are going to implement the eCRM. So, this concept eCRM you must be aware, that is customer relationship marketing sometimes also called management. So, customer relationship management or customer relationship marketing, when it is done for online customers, it is basically eCRM or electronic CRM rather. So, how we are going to effectively implement the eCRM? Also, there would be a dedicated unit on eCRM where we will be discussing about knowing the online customers. So, how they behave, what is their perception and so on, and there we will be discussing in detail what is eCRM. And also in the implementation stage, we have to ensure, we have to formulate a strategy to adopt the digital marketing mix. So, since the digital marketing mix is now extended with 8 P's, so how efficiently we are going to use these different P's, and we can develop an optimum blend of all the mixes, and we can develop an effective strategy for it. And also how we are going to implement the various internet marketing or digital marketing strategies like search engine optimization, search engine marketing, social media marketing, affiliate marketing, influencer marketing. So, there are number of options, digital marketing as in digital communication, rather digital communication, display advertisement and so on. So, there are various options available. So, how we are going to implement, what would be the mix of different strategies. So, all this done at implementation stage. So, roughly this, as I have said, this is not the exhaustive list. So, roughly we would be discussing about all these aspects in this lecture, and this list is, as I have said, this is not exhaustive. There could be many n number of issues where the company has to strategize or have to implement at the implementation stage. There could be different domains, there could be different areas where they have to do the strategies. So, we were talking about the implementation framework. So, here this is very interesting framework where we talk about the digital strategy implementation framework, and it is based on the digital presence analysis matrix, and it is developed by it is available in the book of Puneet Bhatia. And here if you see, then this is on the basis of how much a company is have presence on digital media. So, here basically it is almost no presence, and here that is very high presence, right. So, here it is very high presence is there. So, there is different stages, like digital scooping is when the company does not have any presence, rather they are only having the traditional presence, they are adopting only marketing traditional marketing strategies. So, there is no digital presence of the company. And in digital shadow, the company will be having a very nominal presence online, where they might have email or they might have account on social media or something like that. So, that is what is basically is digital shadow. So, in digital setup, they would have a better online presence in comparison to the shadow, where they will have their own website, functional interactive website, they must be having an email, they must be having social media presence as well, where they must be having the their own Facebook page or Twitter page or Twitter account, something like the Instagram channel or something like that, right. So, digital stability is when company is having a fair stability in the digital domain, in digital landscape. So, they are fairly present and they are trying to use different channels to optimize their businesses as well. In digital scale up, they are more aggressive in comparison to stability. They want to push the digital front more, and they are trying to leverage the benefits of digital presence in revenue generation. So, they are pushing a bit and they are trying to scale up their digital presence, and in digital spectrum they try to exploit all the possible strategies to exploit the digital presence, and they are trying to get maximum out of it. So, here the companies, they try to focus more on their digital presence, and they are trying to focus more on online sales. They are trying to move towards a click company perspective. So, that is when a company is having the highest digital presence. So, accordingly at what level a company is. So, for example, if it is only at setup, then they might increase their online presence and they try to develop a stability in their presence. or for example they are on a stable stage. Now they have to boost their digital strategy so that they can scale up their presence and they can leverage the presence with the revenue. So at what stage a company is basically is going to affect or is going to affect the formulation and implementation of the strategy. So again this is again a very important framework, that is product life cycle PLC framework, right. So product life cycle is a very popular framework. So product life cycle, as we all know, that any product, it goes through 4 stages of a life cycle. As the human, we take birth and we grow and we become adults, and then we become mature, and then we become old aged, and then we ultimately die. So like a mortal person, we have our birth and death, right. Similarly, it is considered for products as well. So it is assumed that product also have some life cycle. So they are introduced as in the birth. So they are introduced in the market. So when they are introduced in the market, they have a very modest growth, and this is the introduction stage. So here, as a marketer, I would have extensive digital strategies. I would be using maximum channels to reach to the maximum targeted audience, so that the product is known to the maximum of the customers. So this is where I would be focusing more on awareness aspect. So it is a focus on awareness can be done here, and the strategies that focuses on awareness could be used here at the introduction stage. And then there is a growth stage. So at growth stage, the company is growing very fast with a positive rate of growth, right. At growth strategy, again we would be using more of organic medias, or we say owned media. So here we will be using more of paid medias for extensive digital marketing, and here rather where we have engaged with the customer, we can also leverage the earned media. Here also we can leverage the earned media at the growth stage. So at a maturity stage, the product, it actually stabilizes. So here again some key features, some new characteristics have to be added to the product. Only then it would be again, it could be can move again towards upside. So if the product becomes obsolete and the customer, they don't find value to the product, then again it will go at the downside and it will decline. So there are decline strategies. So at this level also, when the product is declining, so there could be remarketing or re-engagement, something like that, so that rather than the product moving this side, it should move towards the upside. So it depends upon what strategies. So sometimes it happens that the product becomes irrelevant, it does not create value for the time being. So in that case, the company might think about discontinuing the product, and in place of that maybe some new product can be launched. So it depends upon the level, the stage at which the product is. So even for a decline stage, there has to be good strategies to take the product away from the market. So different strategies can be formed depending upon at what stage, at what life stage a product is, right. So PLC framework also helps in choosing and implementing the digital marketing strategies. Moving ahead is the next topic of discussion, that is strategy monitoring and control. So strategy monitoring involves gathering and analyzing data to see whether a digital marketing strategy is on track to achieve the strategic goal and objectives of the company. So whether it is able to achieve the objectives of the company or not, whether the marketing strategy is on track or not, this is what we do in the monitoring stage. And also, and on other hand, the strategy control, it involves making the appropriate changes based on these findings. So whatever findings we are going to gather from the monitoring stage by monitoring the strategy. So for example, we have implemented the strategy now we have to keep on track. So how the strategy is functioning, whether it is giving the desired results or not. So we have to keep on check, we have to keep track on the strategy that we have implemented. So we try to generate and gather various data which come out of it, and we analyze the data, and if we see if it is on track, then it is fine, and if it is not on track, then obviously we have to take the corrective measures. So whatever appropriate changes have to be done can be done in the controlling stage. So monitoring on a regular basis is very crucial to identify the occurrence of any problem or deviation. So whether there is any problem or any deviation or not, it is very important to identify so that it does not go worse. So if we only monitor, or if we only check at the end of the session or at the end of the time duration for which this strategy have been formulated, so after lapse of the period we are nowhere to do anything, right. So it is better to monitor the strategy in the midway, and if it is going through certain deviation, then immediately you can take the corrective measures. So it is not always necessary that whatever you strategize will go 100%, right. So if there is certain deviations and it is not generating what is we have planned, what we have thought, then the corrective measures or the adjustment could be done in controlling, right. So a digital marketer can make use of various metrics or framework to ensure monitoring and controlling of digital marketing strategies. So there are various metrics available, there are various frameworks are there which the digital marketers can use for effective monitoring and controlling of the digital marketing strategies. So what are those matrices and frameworks? We will discuss it shortly. So like this is very important, risk and reward metrics. So the risk and reward metrics shows the ideas arranged according to the risk and reward score. This is risk and reward scores calculated based on some established basis or formula. So this if you see this matrix, so on the y axis, if you see, we have got risk, and it could be low risk and it could be high risk. Similarly, if we go on the reward side, we have again low reward and high reward. So there is always a mix or the blend of the risk and reward. In business, it is all about risk and reward. We say that more risk leads to more reward. So for example, these bubbles are basically different strategies. For example, if you look at this one, it is a safer strategy, I would say, because the risk is low. Since risk is also low, so reward is also lower, right. So but it is a safe one because it is of low risk. Similarly, if you look at this, then it is high risk and high reward. So again, if you are in a situation to take high risk, then obviously you can get benefit of the reward also. So for any strategy, if we implement, we try to get information, by using different matrices, we can get information that what is the return and what is the risk involved. So accordingly we can calculate the risk reward trade off, and accordingly we can plan. So for example, there are certain digital marketing strategies which could be risky, but again the reward is very promising, right. So we need to understand how, if we are a new company and we are not in a position to spare a lot of money and we are not in a position to take risk, so probably we should go for a safer, low risk strategies. But if for example, if I have a good capital and good investment is there and I can spare big chunk on advertisement expenditure or marketing expenditure, so probably I would go to some high risk areas. So if our strategy is effective, then it is going to give us the higher reward, right. So we need to understand what would be the perfect blend of risk and reward. Accordingly we have to implement, and this matrix is a very effective for understanding or controlling. We can actually see what risk we have assumed, what standard we have set for the risk and reward, whether we are going to meet it or not. For example, we had set certain risk level of certain risk and certain level of rewards. So for example, the risk level is increasing but the reward level is not increasing, then that is a red flag, right. So immediately we have to take corrective measures. So this matrix could be very helpful at controlling stage. So moving ahead is online performance grid. If you see online performance management grid, it is again very effective. So, what you can see, if you see, it is a tabular form where this is various factors, as in the metrics and the growth strategies would be, would be placed here, and accordingly the matrices could think, or the strategies could be in the domain of acquisition or in the conversion or retention. So, accordingly we can make different plan, and we can see whether it is able to generate what we have expected or not, whether we are in a position, whether the KPIs or the matrices, whatever matrices we have framed, whether it is effective in acquisition, conversion and retention or not. So, it is a like of a balance card, or we can say something a scorecard, where we can make a comparison that whether this particular metrics or this particular KPIs have effectively helped in acquisition or conversion or retention of the customers or not, right. So, this is the last slide which talks about the digital marketing analytics, and probably we will be having a detailed unit of discussion on this aspect, digital marketing analytics, because it is very contemporary and nowadays it is a buzzword in the digital marketing domain. So, everyone is talking about analytics. So, why analytics have become so important, why analytics have become so buzzword, because everything depends upon data. So, when there was traditional marketing, the data obviously was more of available offline, and it was on registers and so on, and it was very difficult to actually do the analysis. But now whatever we do digitally, we have got digital footprints, we have got digital informations, we have got numerous data, millions and millions of data we have. So, now since we have lot of data, and there are various statistical tools are there, so there are marketing analytics tools are there which can be used to analyze the behavior of the buyer, or the buying pattern, the buying preferences. For example, we visit on various social media apps, or for example we visit on various shopping apps, we try to search different products and we buy certain type of mobile phones, for example. So, when they have data of, for example, whole India data they have, now they are in a position to understand that at what age group of people are liking what type of features in the mobile phones, or what when they are buying the phone, what price range they are buying, or what features they are looking for. So, all those aspects could be, we can get out of it. So, digital marketing analytics is really very important, and it is going to be very effective also, right. So, it involves measuring, collecting and analyzing the data from various digital marketing channels, and it provides various important insights about the behavior and how you can actually interact with them, how we can actually engage with them. So, there are various matrices, you can see there are matrices for content marketing and websites, there are matrices for social media campaign, there are matrices for email campaign and so on. So, there are many matrices and analytics available through which they can actually measure how effective their strategy is, and accordingly they can replan their marketing strategy. So, that is all for today. Thank you so much. We will meet in the next week of the course. Have a nice day.